Welcome everyone to my second home video during this lockdown in 2020. My name is John Jardine and today I'm going to teach you how to learn. Alright, it sounds a little bit weird, but bear with me. So if you're watching this from the context of the API integration series that I'm bringing out, welcome back and thanks so much for sticking with me. If you're coming in and you don't even know what the API integration is going on, you'll still be able to take a lot away from this video, so don't worry. Now, coming back to learning how to learn, right? In my job, one of my responsibilities is to research new technology because I need to make sure that it can work in a real world scenario. So like when I say a real world scenario, I mean production environment. So it has to be bug free, it can't crash, it has to work, it has to be stable, there needs to be support for it. There are so many factors. So when I research a new technology, I've got to be able to guarantee those items on the checklist, and it's very stressful and very risky. So what I need to do is I need to ensure that I have the ability to learn those technologies very quickly, because no one's got time for me to spend months on them. And how do I learn them so quickly? How can I get to the point that I'm so comfortable with that tech that I can actually go back and make certain guarantees? Well, there are four methodologies that I use. And I actually use it everywhere in my life. But in the context of what I do for my work and in the context of what I'm going to be teaching everyone, I'm going to be explaining these four methodologies, all right? And I divide it into two sections. The first is how I teach, and the second is how I learn, all right? And there's a little bit of a gray area because these could appear on either side, but bear with me, all right? For now, it's fine as it is. Now, if we take a look at how I teach, how I'm going to teach you API integration, all right? I'm going to be using two methods. The first is the Pimsleur method. Now, Pimsleur is what gets used by other people to actually teach languages. So you can actually go to a website called pimsleur.com, and on there you'll be able to learn French, English, Portuguese, you name it, all right? And they have a certain way of teaching you so that you can actually apply that language tomorrow. Even though it's basic, you can apply that language tomorrow. The idea is that they take away all the noise, information overload, and anything that is unnecessary to you, okay? They take away all the confusion. They only focus on the basics, the heart of what you will end up using in the real world. And that's exactly what I'm going to teach you. I'm only going to teach you exactly what you need to do to start integrating tomorrow. And I'm going to avoid all the unnecessary copious amounts of information. I'm going to put all of that one side. And the intention is that you become proficient with API integration now and one day master it. All right, that's the intention. You'll learn the rest later. Don't worry about it. So I'm going to be using this method, and that is what we are going to get out of it. The second is the 80-20 rule, which is also known as Pareto's law. And the idea behind the 80-20 rule is that 80% of the output of a given situation is determined by 20% of the input. So what does that mean? In our case, it means that the 20% that I'm going to teach you will allow you to take on 80% of the projects and work out there. That is what it means. And that is how powerful this rule is. I'm only going to focus on the hardcore stuff that's actually effective, easy to learn, easy to adopt, and adds value immediately. You can learn the other 80% when the time comes, all right? But for now, we're just going to stick to what adds value. And it's going to be an efficient use of your time. It means you're going to learn a lot in a very short span of time. And you'll see there's quite a bit of a synergy between these two methodologies, but they kind of have their own focus. So that really is how I'm going to teach. And that's how you should actually absorb information. And make no mistake, go take a look at the rest of your life. Go take a look at other projects that you might be working on and look carefully at this principle. And you'll see how effective it can be in your real world, in your life with many other things, not just technology. Now, if we go to how I learn and how I want you to learn moving forward, is the first one is diverse repetition. All right, I actually coined this. I did a Google search the other day. This doesn't actually really come up as a search result, so it seems as if I've coined it. And the idea over here is that we take a certain topic, a certain skill that we want to learn, and I'm going to repeat that skill, but instead of repeating it, just giving you the same example, I'm going to change the perspective every time I repeat it. If I give you something that you need to go away and learn, I'm going to give you diverse versions of the skill that you need to learn. I'm going to change the perspective. And the reason for that, and this is very, very powerful, when you learn something, that repetition is good, okay? But if you're just repeating something 5 times in one day and it's always been the same example, your brain is going to, that information is going to disappear within 2 days' time if you're not careful, if you don't continuously repeat it. But if you change the perspective every time you repeat a certain skill that you're learning, your brain has a tendency to make it stick, which means that you can wake up the next day or the day afterwards and that information is going to be retained. It's very, very, very powerful. So we're definitely going to be using a lot of that. And don't worry, I'll remind you as the videos go. I'll make sure that you are continuously aware of these methodologies. The final one, immersion, okay? It's very, very important, especially in the beginning of learning something new. You have to eat, sleep, and dream this topic. In our case, API integration, especially for the first 2 weeks. And the reason for that is because it's even though I'm going to do my best to not overload you with information, it is going to end up being an overload of information to you. In the beginning, it's going, you're learning so many new things that your brain has to process all of this, and your conscious mind is going to have to make a couple of judgment calls on what it retains and what it sends through to the subconscious. All right? But if you're continuously reading articles, watching videos, coming up with project ideas, trying to calculate things in your head that are all related to API integration, your conscious has no choice but to open those floodgates and let that information seep through into the subconscious, and that is where we want it to exist. But we don't want it to be stored in the archives. We need it active in the subconscious. All right. And if you're reading up articles before you go to bed, it's the best time because your brain goes into an alpha state. When you fall asleep, guess what happens? Your brain is processing that information. Your subconscious is learning while you sleep. And it's not only learning, it's problem solving. I know this all sounds fluffy, but it works. This is how I get to do what I do. People keep on saying that I'm gifted. I'm not. I just follow the rules. I follow a formula. All right. And this is what this formula is. And if you apply this as we learn API integration and apply this everywhere else in your life, you are going to see results. All right. So I've done my venting for the day. And thank you very much for watching up until now. I hope that this is adding a lot of value to you. It should be adding a lot of value. And we are ready to take on the next challenges. We're finally going to start learning API integration when I publish the next videos. So enjoy your day. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It really means a lot to me. And be sure to click on the bell icon as well, because then you'll get notified every time I release a new video. So until next time, cheers.